Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our truly international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world. So for today, we had an author from Thailand and another one from Florida. Our next guest coming up, Mimi Francis. She's in Arizona. Welcome, Mimi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Now, you surprised me because I said, which of these two books are we going to talk about? You said you have 7 books out.
I do, yes. I actually have 7 books out, 2 book series. One is called Second Chances in Hollywood, and the other is Loves of Lakeside. And there's 4 books in my Loves of Lakeside series and 3 books in my Second Chances in Hollywood series.
Now, I know you've written about Hollywood, written about Boston, and you're in Arizona, but you're really from Montana. Tell us about that journey.
I'm from Montana. I'm originally from Great Falls. My husband is from Missoula, so we go home and visit we always go home and visit every summer. And my books, the Loves of Lakeside series, is actually set in Montana in a small town on Flathead Lake in Montana. Yeah.
In a moment, I'm going to ask you about this book, Taken by the Mob, but I just happened to grab another cover, The Professor. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Professor is the second book in my Loves of Lakeside series, but all of my books are standalone reads, so you don't have to read them in any order. The Professor is the story of a young, kind of frazzled college student. She's not young. She's actually about 25 years old, college student, and she ends up dating, meets a man over Christmas break, and they end up dating, and it turns out that she is one of her professors. He's actually a very young professor. She didn't know it. And so it's kind of a story about a forbidden relationship and everything. Kind of a little bit of intrigue in there. There's a little bit of stalker activity in there, not by the professor, but by somebody else in the story. And it's kind of a story of, getting past the taboo side of a relationship and being able to fall in love and be together.
Nice. Is it set someplace we would recognize?
It's one of the ones that's set in Montana on Flathead Lake, my little town there's actually a lakeside Montana on Flathead Lake, but I have fictionalized it, and my little town has a university in it. So,
very good.
But I take a lot of real life elements from the town and the surrounding towns around it because I'm pretty familiar with the area, being from Montana.
Now, you have a book coming out.
Yes.
Taken by the Mobster.
Yes, that one comes out in March.
Just the name and the cover and the title intrigued me to the point where I usually don't read nonfiction, but I'm going to read this. Now, it's not so regular, Bob. Tell us what it is.
So, Taken by the Mobster I am a romance writer, so all my books are romance. So, Taken by the Mobster is a little bit different. There's a notorious mobster. His name is Declan Quinn, and Declan is known up and down the East Coast for robbing banks. He's been going to small towns up and down the East Coast and robbing banks and building up money, and he's very notorious and very scary. Nobody's ever seen him. They're all afraid. Everybody's afraid of him. And one day he walks into a bank that Olivia works at, and she sees his face, and he can't leave her there because he's afraid she'll talk to the authorities. So he kidnaps her and takes her as his hostage with him when he leaves the bank. And then as time goes on, turns out they find out they actually knew each other. They used to be in love when they were younger.
Of course.
Yep, of course. And now so it's kind of a story of them trying to get out from under the thumb of the person that's controlling Declan's life and how they come to be together.
Now, Declan, this doesn't sound like a Italian mobster.
It is not. Declan is actually an Irish mobster. I opted to go a little bit different than the norm. Italian mafia romances are extremely popular, which I knew, but I kind of wanted to go a little bit different. So I did a little bit of research and discovered that the Irish mafia is actually pretty prevalent in and around Boston, especially not as so much now, but it used to be. So I just kind of built on that idea of the Irish mafia, which is funny because, like I told you earlier, I'm actually married to an Italian. So I kind of went a little off the norm, but and my husband's family is from the Boston area. His dad is from that area. So I kind of wanted to do a little bit something different. So I went with Irish mafia instead of Italian mafia.
It's fun. And of course, it's a romance, so someone's going to fall in love, and we kind of know who now. Now, is this part of a series, or will it be part of a series?
It's going to be part of a series. That's actually the first book in the Massachusetts Mafia series, but there will be more to come. It's going to be like my other books. I introduce characters in my books, and then in later books, they might get their own book. But you don't have to read the other books in order to understand what's going on. I don't leave you on a cliffhanger. I don't tie them together where you won't know what's going on. I just have the characters pop up in each other's books.
Yeah. Hate to say this because this is a book show, but it sure sounds like a movie.
Well, the hope is one day maybe I'll get to have them be a movie, right?
Yeah, it sounds like a fun idea.
Yeah, it's fun. I had a lot of fun writing that book. I think it's probably my favorite book to date that I've written, and I've written 9 total, so this is my 8th book that's coming out, and I had a blast writing it. It was fun.
Well, let me ask you about this process, because it's not even out yet. It comes out in March?
Yes, it comes out March 5th.
So what's the process? When do you put your pen down and say, I'm done writing, and then what happens?
I finished writing that one when did I finish that? I finished that the end of June. So I'm with a small press publisher, so my publisher works a little bit different than the bigger press publishers. So I finished writing it in June. I did my edits to it. I sent it in and it went to my editor, and then my editor sent it back to me in July, and then we started moving forward from there. So putting my pen down to coming out, I guess it's about a 9-month process from the time that I finished writing it till it comes out. Yeah.
Now, do you have trouble putting the pen down?
I do. I like to write, but what's nice with the way that I write is because I write a continue in one universe and all my characters are in those universe, it makes it really easy for me to put the pen down because I know I can pick up the story later. Because I always try to let people know, hey, this is what's going on with this couple when I write a new book. So I might bring up that couple in a new book.
Nice.
I actually have started writing the 2nd book in the Massachusetts Mafia series, and I do mention Declan and Olivia a few times in there.
And that, my next question, of course. You put your pen down in June. When do you start the next book? The next day? The next week?
I usually start almost right away. Yeah. If I put my mind to it, I can usually write 2 to 3 books a year.
Nice.
So I'll give myself a week or 2 off just to kind of get myself back together. And it depends on what universe I'm diving into, to which series I'm working on, because they're all a little different. So I always have to get in that headspace. But I'll usually give myself about a week or 2, and then I pick that pen right back up and start going again. And
by the way, are you disciplined? Like at this time of day, I sit at my desk and start writing?
Oh, no, I just write whenever something comes to me. So I'll sometimes have apps on my phone that connect to everything to the cloud so that if I think of something, I can put it on the app on my phone so that I have it when I go back to it later. I actually do a lot of writing in the evening when my husband watches like hockey or football or whatever he's watching. I'll kind of watch the sports with him, but I'll do my writing when he's doing that.
What an amazing time to be an author, that you have these extra tools. So
it is. It's really nice to be. I don't think I could do it without all the stuff that I have that helps me do it.
Now, we do have your web address on the screen, mimifrancis.com. That's pretty easy.
Yes. Yep, very easy.
Instagram, author.mimi.francis, and then Twitter, author_Mimi. So you can find her, find her, track her down. And I will say this to our viewers. I say this all the time. Don't go buy one of her books. Buy 5 of her books. And I love to buy 5 copies of a book, and I give them away to my friends, or I have to go to a party, take a host gift, take a book, and I get everybody reading the same books I'm reading. It's a lot of fun to do that.
It is. Yep. And reach out to me anytime. I love to talk to my readers and answer questions. I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody.
I love an author that does that, because I always have questions. I always tell myself, be patient, because my questions are usually answered by the time I get to the end of the book, but it still is fun. So thank you, Mimi. Last thoughts?
If anybody reads my stuff and has a question, reach out. I'll be happy to answer it.
Very good. Mimi Francis, the author, all the way from Arizona. Where are you in Arizona, by the way?
I'm in Mesa, Arizona, which is just outside of Phoenix.
Very good. I'm going to pop this cover back up, and I'll leave the website up. Please look up Mimi. Very accessible. I love an accessible author. We'll be back with more Briggs on Books right after this.